My self-portrait from the AdobeDrawing monthly theme was inspired by Bloodborne, one of my all-time favorite IPs from this last console generation. I wanted to communicate a bit of the dark, mysterious, and gritty tone from the game in my use of light, color, and texture. I submitted about 13 thumbnail sketches and decided to move forward with this one because I felt like it had a nice sense of drama to it. The very first thing I did before I started into this piece was to photograph some reference of myself. I cannot stress how important it is to always use reference. Regardless of your style, having that information there is going to benefit you and help you to see things that you couldn't have made up out of your head. Based on the reference that I shot and some screenshots that I took from the game itself, I went in and started refining the sketch. I thought it would be fun to have the hand reaching up and grabbing hold of a weapon as part of the composition. One of the tools that I love about Photoshop is the liquefy tool. Here I use it to chop things around to help the proportions a bit. Part of my process involves laying in rough value in black and white to make sure that things are balanced and working out compositionally. Once the basic values are figured out, I jumped right into washing colors over the piece with either overlay or hard light. This, in combination with the values that I laid in, create a solid foundation that I can then go and start painting into. Sometimes flipping your canvas helps you to see things you couldn't see before. When I flipped it, I felt like the expression was too bland. I wanted to interject a bit of drama with the eyes. As I began to come in and render some of the surface detail, I felt like the hand grasping the weapon up top wasn't reading well, so I repositioned it and expanded out the crop to give a bit more breathing room. Here I went in and started working out the background. I wanted to push the lighting to be a bit more dramatic, so I brushed in some dark blues on hard light and masked out the light shapes. This all sets the stage so that I could come in and start carving in some rim lights up top. I love bright colors in my work, so here I experimented with punching up the colors a bit in the background and using overlay layers. Now that the overall scene felt right, this next segment is just going in and painting into all the surfaces to give them a bit of life and texture. I'm spending time looking at worn leather and tattered cloth references to help me push those surfaces. Bloodborne, true to its name, is a game whose narrative revolves around blood. I knew I needed to add some blood in somewhere, wanted to keep it subtle. Found some blood stain and splatter references online that I desaturated a bit, put on multiply, and masked into a few key areas. I also used a bit of a plastic wrap filter to make portions of it feel a bit wet. I added a few floating embers with a custom brush and went in and further pushed the contrast between the light and shadow shapes, as well as adding a bit of blood splatter as a textural element to the bottom. When I get done with a piece, I like to use a combination of high pass and unsharp mask to add a bit of crunchiness to the detail in a few places, which really helps to bring out some of the brush strokes. And here's the finished piece. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch.